Hi, I'm Tony Jones. Here's a bonus question we couldn't fit on Q&A. It's from Kevin Nolan.
The US alt-right conspiracy theorist Alex Jones has been recently banned from all social media platforms except for Twitter. Most of the outlets, however, have given vague reasons for his expulsion, citing hate speech and harassment, without pointing to specific examples. Could this be a precedent for widespread censorship and create a system which can be easily abused in the future?
I'll start with Lindsay Shepherd.
Yeah, I think definitely, and he shouldn't have been banned. But at the same time, I mean, I was invited on InfoWars and to be on Alex Jones' show, but I declined because I don't think it offers anything really important or profound. And
plus, he's a liar.
Yeah, and he lied about a school shooting. He's a conspiracy theorist in regards to that, so I don't want to be associated with that. So perhaps it's too bad people can't use their better judgment, but I think he should be allowed to stay.
And Ali, what do you think?
In principle, I'm really kind of against any kind of censorship, and I don't see how we're going to be able to censor the internet. I do, however, think that we need to be looking at hate speech, and particularly hate speech online, where it can be actually quite influential. I mean, this is something that I studied as an academic, in particular the influence of ISIS propaganda on young people. And that's a form of hate speech that's available online that does influence young minds. So while I'm apprehensive about banning or censorship online, I do think that we need to really think about this and think about what do we do about hate speech that is influencing and is particularly influencing towards violent extremism, forms of violent extremism.
Jeremy Bell, it's interesting because Alex Jones' InfoWars site was banned from Facebook and some other sites, but of course it's actually driven a huge number of people to his app. Some people say he's happy to have been banned from Facebook. What do you think?
I've got no idea if he's happy to have been banned from Facebook.
What do you think about the idea that you should ban him from Facebook?
Well, first of all, it does depend on who's doing the banning. When you have these private tech companies choosing to ban certain users, I think, well, all right, that's not censorship in the strict sense. It would be censorship if, say, the US government or the Australian government or any other government said, right, this fellow can't use social media anymore. Now, that I'm unequivocally opposed to. I don't have a problem with the tech companies having clear community standards and enforcing them. I wonder whether the specific community standards in this case are more vaguely worded than is safe, but it's always difficult to word them non-vaguely, of course.
That just reminds me as well, there's also the danger of pushing this kind of speech into the dark web, and increasingly we're seeing terrorist propaganda moving to the dark web and operating in these ungoverned and uncharted territories.
OK, Eric?
I trust Jones is no relation. We'll just clear that up. But
certainly hope not.
I'm sure he isn't. I think if somebody's banned, they may be well entitled for a rationale as to why, what the words or... so I think that was the thrust of your question, and whilst it is a private platform, they're entitled to have on it whom they would wish, but I think if it is a relatively widely used platform, somebody that's banned might be entitled to an explanation, and if it is a coherent, robust explanation, chances are it would enhance the reasoning and rationale and wouldn't allow him then to portray himself as some sort of victim.
Cornell.
Yeah, I think this issue of what I'd call libertarian sensibilities is a very complicated one. I tend to always side on the libertarian ground when it comes to rights and liberties, primarily because usually when people talk about banning and censorship, they're on their way to my house. Leftists, progressive, black folks, so forth and so on, you see. On the other hand, how do you keep track of hate speech? Without some kind of accountability. Now, Facebook strikes me as, you know, another extension of the capitalist class that has very little accountability anyway. So what kind of reasons could they put forward? What kind of arguments would they put forward? Well, all of these are elements that have to be taken into consideration. To scream fire in a theater is not free speech. I think the U.S. Supreme Court made that clear. So then you have to move to hard cases, look at each case and see what elements go into it. But I think the libertarian dimension is a very important one in terms of the kind of robust conversations we have with people who we not only disagree with, but we also fight for their right to be wrong. Now, how wrong? Nazis? How wrong? Alex Jones? How wrong? A whole host of haters? It's a very tough issue.
And we'll have to leave it there. That's all we have time for. Thank you very much, Kevin Nolan, for your question.